back to my channel. Thank you all for your comments. I will endeavour at some point to do another comments video where I go over your comments. I've just got a backlog of articles and things to get through first, so I think I'm going to get through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on getting through the backlog of articles and things I wanted to talk about, and then once I've done them, I will then try and go back over your comments and try and do some comments videos where I can. I might not be able to get through all of your comments, but I'll do my best to get through as many as possible and do a comments video. And those I don't go through in my videos, rest assured I look at all of your comments. I have a look at all of them anyway, so they've all been seen, they've all been looked at, but obviously, I can only select a handful for each video, obviously, just because of time constraints and stuff. But yeah, first of all, I wanted to get through, I've got a backlog of articles to get through, and the one I wanted to talk to you about today was one I found in the Guardian newspaper, the Guardian and the Observer newspaper, recently, and it's sort of been a lot in the news as well, and it's been quite controversial. The article in the Guardian is entitled "Employers Should See Autism as an Asset. Review seeks to break barriers at work." Okay, so you can in that title itself, there's quite a lot that's controversial. Employers should see autism as an asset. An asset, and I'm thinking, an asset for whom exactly? To me, that suggests they're trying to rebrand autism almost as like something to be milked, like a kind of a profit cow. Basically, to milk profit out of autism. It's ideological and exploitative, and obviously, not all forms of autism can be an asset. Obviously, an asset interpreted in that way, because in order to be an asset, you need to be able to, in this mindset, you need to be able to deliver profit for the free market capitalist economy. So clearly, if you can't do that, if you have a type of autism that can't be milked for profit, then by default you're not an asset. Basically, at least according to that interpretation. So an inquiry led by ex-Minister Robert Buckland. An inquiry is being led by ex-Minister Robert Buckland to examine the UK support for neurodivergent people with the aim of doubling the employment rate. Aim of doubling the employment rate. A review is attempting to identify and tackle barriers autistic people face at work, being launched by the government in an attempt to push companies to reap the benefits of a neurodiverse workforce. Reap the benefits, okay? So this is very suspect. Remember, in the UK we have a Tory government in power right now. Anything that the Tories do to try and increase employment always has something ulterior going on. It's never just a benevolent, oh, we want to increase employment. That sounds good, doesn't it, on paper? But it's a Tory government in power right now, and this is a government that is ruthless in trying to cut benefits. Benefits, in my view, should actually not be benefits. I don't like the term benefit. In an ideal society, they wouldn't actually be called benefits. They'd be called a universal welfare income, which everyone would get. But that's another thing entirely. Benefit sounds like something out of a kind of poor law era. Benefits, it's like charity. It's like benefiting you. You should be so grateful, But yeah, this is a government that's been ruthless in trying to cut people's benefits and punish disabled and other and people who, through no fault of their own, cannot work, treating them like criminals, like bad people, making them live a really shitty life. It's disgusting. This is a government that's been trampling on the face of people out of work, people on low incomes, anyone who is not, anyone who can't be milked for profit, basically, is being dehumanised and treated like dirt. So be very wary about any review that this government is undertaking. This is not a benevolent prospect. So Robert Buckland is the former Justice Secretary, and he is father to an autistic adult, and he's also father to an autistic adult, has been asked by the Department for Work and Pensions to lead the review. Remember, another thing, by the way, about Tories is that if it's someone in their own family who happens to be disabled, they're immediately a good disabled person because they look out for their own, like anyone. Like, what I mean is they look out for their own. If it's someone in their own family, obviously it's different. It's in their own family, so it's like a special case is made. But if it's not one of their own, in a kind of disability in the abstract, they basically put their hard boot over it. Unless it can be milked for profit, obviously, and then it's different. So if it can be milked for profit, it's fine, and if it's in their own family, excuses are made, and it's a different case. They probably even make excuses for someone who can't work in their own family. They'll find an excuse, you know. Oh, but they're deserving disabled, because it's always deserving if it's their own family, obviously. So this Robert Buckland, he's a former Justice Secretary and he's father to an autistic adult, and he's been asked by the Department for Work and Pensions to lead a review. So fewer than 3 in 10 autistic people. Say that again. Fewer than 3 in 10 autistics are in work, and that's compared with around half of all disabled people and 80% of non-disabled people. So there's something about being autistic that makes it statistically a lot less likely that a person diagnosed autistic is going to be in work. I'm thinking that this is likely down to very core, innate, inherent features about being autistic, which is incompatible with profit-hungry societies. So autism, by definition, means self-state, doesn't it? Autistic people are often autotelic, which means they follow their own goals, they follow their own pursuits, their own desires. This is at odds with competitive, market-driven capitalist societies where you have to be constantly mindful all the time of your place in society and how you're faring vis-a-vis other people. So if you're autotelic, that's obviously going to be difficult because you're not competitive by nature. Autistics by nature tend not to be very competitive people. Just based on what autism is. I say tend to, because obviously there are exceptions, but if you're talking about competitive based upon other directing, like constantly looking at what others are doing, autistics don't tend to care what others are doing, they just care about what they're doing. Their own desires, their own goals, their own autotelic pursuits. So this in and of itself can put you at a disadvantage and make it more likely you're going to be out of work. And that isn't obviously including all the, in inverted commas, coexisting conditions that tend to go hand in hand with autism, which the NDM like to try and disentangle from autism, but actually I don't think you can really do that. And I don't think it's just coincidence that autism has a very high rate of coexisting conditions. I think it's actually part of the neurology, that the brain itself, the brain is one, isn't it? And if there's a problem in one part of the brain, then it's likely other parts of the brain are also going to be impacted. So, yeah, it doesn't really, it's not a surprise that a pervasive developmental disorder like autism is very likely going to go hand in hand with other conditions that obviously then make it even more unlikely that someone is going to be able to compete in the free market society. Obviously, we could imagine a society where that's different, where you don't need to compete and to be involved. I'd love for that to be such a society. We don't have that society. That will kind of be socialism, where you don't have to compete, where everyone can be involved in society without having to compete against other people, where profit isn't the you know, where we don't have this, where profit isn't the way in which people are judged, you know, for having value, you have value irrespective sort of thing. But anyway, we don't have that society. But I'm just saying, I don't think it is a surprise that given the society that we have, being autistic is going to make it more likely you're going to be unemployed. Autism is just incompatible with the way capitalism works. Unless, of course, you have NDM autism, New Age autism. That's another thing. Anyway, I'm going to move over to video number 2 actually to carry on talking about it. So, moving over to video number 2 now.